So we have a Nintendo Switch controller. This is the left-hand controller, and it has been dropped. And you can see the scuff marks there. This button works fine, but this one is inoperable. It does not work. So we're going to have to get this apart and see what the problem is. Okay guys, so we're going to be using my trusty toolkit here to get these screws off. We're going to need a tri-wing because all Nintendos come with tri-wing screws. So I'm just going to select the right screw, and I believe this is the one we want. So first things first, we'll get this apart and try and get these screws out. Okay, so we're going to set these screws aside so we don't lose them. We really don't want to lose those screws. Okay, so this is just a matter of just prying open around the edges. Okay, so as we can see, it's now apart and open. See if we can see any obvious signs of damage, which, to be fair, I'm not seeing any cracks in the chassis itself. So we'll get this battery prized open, and we'll go from there. And the battery should pop out like that, and there's a good little connector there. I'm just going to get my dental picks, see if I can't just prise that up. Okay, so I'm having a bit of trouble getting this out, so I'm just going to pull this little connector out. We pull it on the white bit, not on the base. Make sure you don't pull on that base, because that will obviously damage the connection underneath, and you may have to re-solder, or as the Americans would say, solder. So I've decided I'm going to keep the battery to one side for now. I'm going to try and get this bottom plate off. The controller is obviously going haywire because it thinks that it's looking for a switch basically that isn't there. So we'll get these screws off. These are just a standard Phillips crosshead screw. Don't believe you need to do all of these. In fact, I think I've just taken the wrong one out, but we'll see. I may need to get the board out underneath, so we'll stick that one back in for now. And I'll take this one and this one out. That should release this plate here. I believe there's one more screw. In fact, it's just down here in this corner. So that's 3 brass screws, and it should lift up and away just like that. Now, this is the problem button right here. It looks like it's okay, but and you can even hear that clicking, if you can hear that clicking. I'm just going to have a look around the board in general just to see if there's any loose connections or connections that don't look quite right before I go any further. I'm going to zoom the camera in a little bit. Let's see if we can't see what's going on here. So this is the button that isn't working. It presses in. The solder contacts look good. They don't look like they've broken at all. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start disconnecting some of these connectors. So I think we get behind here, try and keep this in the frame, and we just lift that black tab, and this should pull out. Okay, so that's that bit away. I'll zoom out. That's that bit away, so we can put that to one side for now. It's already got, it's still got the button in place, so we can keep that to one side, and that goes to there. So I want to really get the battery out to stop it from firing up, but for now I think we'll be all right. I'll just lift these black tabs. There we go. And we can pull this one out. And this one here is a little, should be a little grey tab, but we'll see. Again, I might need to zoom in for this one. So I'm thinking it's this here. It's got to lift up. Again, try not to ruin any of the components. So that gets this bit, this case bit. Let's get the zoom out. That's this bit away. Okay, so now we're down to the main board. The battery is still connected. I'm going to try and disconnect it. There you go. Battery is away. So the area I want to focus on right now is up here. This is the component that's not working properly. Now this connection here, I'm fairly certain it runs, the ribbon cable runs from this section here all the way up here to this board, and then to this board. Now this board, this one here, works. This one here doesn't. Now I'm just going to check those solder connections just to make sure that everything looks okay. I mean, really, there we have it. They look okay, but they're not. That is a loose, broken button. It may be we need a new one of these components. It all depends if those traces have been damaged. They look okay. I don't think the traces have gone, but I think we're looking at a new button because that has snapped. Okay, as you can see, yeah, the solder has broken and the button is loose. Unfortunately, if the traces are damaged, the input's not going to go through and it's not going to work. So we need to replace this board here. I'm looking at eBay right now and it's about £3.35 for one of these. So this bit here needs replacing. Okay, so the part has arrived. I'll just get it out and inspect it. Make sure it's the right one. There we go. It looks about right. This folds back on itself, as you can see, and that should be the correct one. We'll just get the board over here, and as you can see, I'll zoom in for it. As you can see, this part will mimic this one, and that will go there, and this will fold over there. So that's the correct part, which is always good. And we'll be taking this screw out, this screw and this screw, and we'll have to unhook it here as well. Okay, so the board is coming free, as you can see. I'm just going to put these screws to one side. I'll zoom out so you can see. And we're going to go get this screw out, and we'll get this out, and we just got to be careful here because the button will release. It would never have occurred to me, had I not watched Tronics Fix videos, that a dental pick will come in so much in handy. So we just need to lift this plastic tab. I'll zoom in so you can get a better look at it. We just need to remove this here. Okay, and that's come up nicely, and we're going to lift this away, and we're going to very gently prise that away there. And there we have it. That is the faulty part out, and we're going to place the new part in, and we're just going to tighten it. Oh well, sometimes that will happen and you'll want to cry. Yeah, beautiful. There we go. So that part of the board's in place. I'm just going to make sure everything else is aligned correctly, and we're going to put these other screws in. I'll try not to bend this bit up. Very gentle. You have to be so very gentle, not to distort the board or anything like that, and not obviously not to knock this new part out, because that would really ruin your day. Okay, so the board's in. We're just going to place this ribbon cable where it needs to go. I think I'm going to get my tweezers out for this. Always good to have a nice pair of tweezers. So I may fast forward through this bit because it is going to be a bit of a pain to get in. Just flick that up, and actually it's not too bad. I may not need to fast forward. That looks like it's in. So we'll get the dental pick, push that back over, and that should work now. I'm going to make sure this is lifted here, and we're going to make sure this is lifted here. It's pretty difficult because we've got this bit here, so we're going to work on getting that in first. Now I think it's in properly. Okay, little tug test. That's okay, that's all good. Now I've got the other one to go in, and that is going to go in this one. Okay, that looks good. So now that's in, we'll obviously plug the battery back in. Oh, actually we'll get this connector in first. Okay, that's in. Lovely, lovely jobbly, fine job. So this bit faces down and slides in there. Again, we're going to be very careful not to damage this cable, because it's very important we don't damage this cable. Okay, that's in. Okay, and that's down. Now for the battery, and get that lined up. There you go, beautiful. In goes the battery. I'm going to try and line it up and get it in. We lined it up, we got it in, and tuck that under there. Okay, so that's in now. I'm just gonna get these screws in. You just hate it when that happens. Okay, down you go. Okay, that's one. That's two. And that's three. Battery. Again, I'm just going to make sure these wires are out of the way. And take these screws out. I always put the screws back in where I've gotten them from, making sure I've got the right piece, so I don't lose them if I'm going back to it a few days later, as I have with this one. It's just making sure that the screws aren't lost, because I don't have replacements. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a bit. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take the screws out, making sure we account for every single screw. Should be 4 there. There's indeed 4 there. So this should go back together absolutely no problem. It's already powered on, so we know the battery is connected okay. And it's simply a case of just pressing it together. And voila. I'm going to put the screws back in. Hopefully this works. Hopefully it tests okay. I'm going to get a switch and test it shortly. Okay, that one's ever so slightly loose. It's not a problem. It's not a massive problem. It will still hold. I think this has been taken apart a few too many times. So nice and gently, we don't go mad. We just tighten these screws up. There we go. Again, we don't go too mad with the pressure. Don't over tighten, because you'll end up damaging the plastic inside, and that can be, well, very detrimental to any future repairs. Kind of slipping a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to get this hooked up to a switch and give it a good old test. Okay, so we have a switch to test this controller, so I'm going to put the controller into the switch. It registers it, which is good. Test controller buttons. The one we're looking for is this one here. It didn't work before. And there we have it. We'll just test the other buttons to make sure that they're all working. Beautiful. And yeah, that is now a fully functioning switch controller, all fixed and repaired. I hope you liked this video. If you do, hit that like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. This has been the repair for a Nintendo Switch left controller. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I need the silence, stop the violence of the war in my head. Time's the healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know